Hey Matthew, this is Keaton Everett with ABC, going over your pitching video from camp. We're going to go through and talk a little bit about your mechanics and talk about your delivery and just ways you can kind of maximize your body, maximize that lower half, because that's where all that velocity, all that power is coming from is from your hips. You know, we got to make sure we're using our legs, using our hips. It's going to generate more power, more velocity. It's going to take less strain it's off our arms, and it's just going to get us in a position that as we get older, get stronger, you know, it's going to be a lot easier to kind of pick up velocity and get everything going. So we'll kind of go through and talk a little bit about each step and kind of talk about a few things, because you're doing a lot of good things initially. Now it's just a matter of for you staying on the line, meaning staying close longer, and we'll go through and talk a little bit more about that. So basically, we're going to go and look at your initial setup. All right, so you change it in this next throw here. You're in front of the rubber, so just make sure that when you're starting, all right, that you get this foot in front of the rubber. You can see that you jump in front here, but this one you're basically ahead of it a little bit here. So we got to make sure that we're setting up in the same spot every time. Just like to get consistent, to repeat our delivery, we got to make sure that we're going in the same spot every time. All right. So one of the things too, from basically this is a stretch position. All right. So from this position, just already have that foot preset there, and then work on your leg lift. All right. If you're going to go from the wind up, start squared off to the catcher. So now your shoulders are facing this way, and now your feet are this way, and then you step to the right and then rotate that foot around to the front of the mount. So if you're going to do a wind up, you kind of do like a half wind up. Start square the catcher, do this step to the right, and then rotate that foot down. But just make sure you're starting off already here, because if you start from the side, just go from the stretch. All right, that just makes it a little bit easier. All right. So now once this foot starts coming up, all right, what I'm going to sort of point to out here is you're going to draw a line over your head and a line sort of over your spine. You see you're kind of already tilted a little bit. But basically, as you lift that leg, you can see everything's kind of going forward right off the bat. All right. Once this leg gets lifted, all right, you're getting the leg in a good position. All right. We just got to make sure that our posture isn't starting to lean out over our hips. We're trying to stay back over this back foot a little bit longer. All right. So we got to make sure that you're just staying back a little bit longer posture-wise. All right. Now, once this leg gets to its highest point, which is right here, we're going to want to see hips go forward. We're going to want to see that ball pop out, and then this foot start to go down. All right. The hips need to lead down the mound. The hips is where all that power is, and we got to make sure that this is the key timing. Once those hips go, the hands go, the leg goes down, and we got to make sure that this foot is staying behind this hip, all right, because we want the hips to lead. All right, so as we kick forward, you see the hips are going, but what you see happen is you see this posture change back here, and now you see this foot leading out in front. All right, all that's doing is that's just kind of losing that power generated in there. All right, so what we want to try to see you do is get to a point where you're getting more, this foot staying behind your hips. All right, so back in this position, your foot's right here, then it's getting out here, maybe now it's just starting to kind of get even, and then now it's starting to pop out here. And what that's going to do is you're going to see yourself rotate open. All right, so you see here's everything's on line, and then watch this foot. You can see it just go towards that third base side. All right, so now we're open. So if you draw that line from that back toe, towards that catcher, you see we're landing really far open. And all that's doing is that's losing all this energy that these hips can create. All right, so just make sure whenever you're on the mound, you draw a line from that back foot straight down and try to land somewhere either right on the line or a little bit, closed with that. And that front foot, the front foot's in a good position here, but just try to make sure that's over on this line. And just think about keeping your hips closed longer, driving that hip bone or that right pocket towards that catcher a lot longer to get yourself closed. All right, that'll generate a lot more power back here for you. And as you get older, it'll get easier because that's a big strength thing. But the more you can kind of work and focus on it, the easier it will come and that strength comes. All right. So now what we're looking at here is foot strike. So this is right when that front foot first hits the ground. So we've already talked about how we opened up early, and what happens when we open up early is we get out front. All right. So you can see this knee is over your ankle. All right. So now what basically the load has been put on your front knee when we want it to still be back here. All right. So you've kind of had the weight shift back here. We want to try to get to a point where your foot's flat here, and then that knee's behind your heel. All right, so just make sure you're staying close and just reach out a little bit longer. So then that creates everything. Everything's loaded up on that back side, and then it's all that energy stored up, ready to transfer forward. All right. And again, upper body wise, you have a good arm angle. The fingers and ball are pointing towards first base, which is fine. All right. Help your front side stay closed a little bit longer by getting that elbow up. All right. We always want to have that glove below that elbow, and keeping that elbow up will keep this front side closed a little bit longer, and will help you also stay on line a little bit longer. So you can see here that front side kind of pops out open early, which causes your hips to rotate earlier even more. All right. So the more that we can stay back, we talked about getting that knee behind your heel, the farther we're going to be able to get out front to release the ball. All right. So you can see how you kind of drop this elbow down here. All right. And then that elbow kind of has to work uphill, and you're just kind of pushing that ball out. All right. We want to try to get to a point where that elbow's following more of a straight path to even a downward path. So we just got to make sure initially, once those hands break, that ball's getting going, and we're getting up on top of that ball and driving downhill with the mound. All right. And then through release, what we're going to want to try to see is this back foot still on the ground. All right. So just because you're out early, we mentioned that weight out front right here. All right. That's what that's going to cause you to do, is get out front and get off this back foot and lose that energy back over there. All right. So at release point here, we'd like to see you still with that back foot on the ground, creating that angle out front, and getting your head and your chest out over that front foot. So now you're going to get out, another 6 to 8 inches, and just drive all the way through that back leg a lot longer, and that'll create, a little bit farther of a release point, and it'll keep your elbow from kind of dropping down so much. All right, it'll kind of keep it up a little bit more, allow you to get more angle on the baseball, just staying through your legs a little bit longer. All right, so that's just the biggest thing, and it's something that is really strength oriented. So at your age, it's not a whole lot of kids are able to do it. So just the fact that you're working on it and focusing on it, especially this off season, as that strength comes, as that coordination comes, it's going to get a lot easier for you. So just pay attention to it. But again, the setup, make sure if you're going from the windup, you're starting facing the catcher. If not, just go from the stretch. And then the biggest thing is just lead with those hips, keep your hips closed longer, and everything's going to kind of fall into place for you. So hopefully you had a great time at camp. Thanks for making it out, and we look forward to seeing you again with ABC.